CBS national NFL reporter Ryan Wilson was on ESPN Cleveland this morning, the Ken Carman show with Anthony Lima, talking about what he sees from those top two quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders.
When you get to this point of the process, and this will happen over the next, we actually have literally 100 days until the NFL draft, we find reasons not to like these players, and then moments before the draft, we fall back in love with them. And go back to 2023 and watch Shedeur Sanders and what they did those first 3 weeks when they started 3-0 and everyone couldn't quit talking about Colorado. He's built on that. He's a really good football player, and I think Cam's made huge strides this year. We talked to scouts over the summer. The issue with Cam was that he didn't play on time, a lot of hero ball, and he and Shedeur both suffer from that. But Cam's a little bigger. Unofficially, we'll find out as we go through this draft process. Has a bigger arm, is a better athlete in space, and incredibly calm under fire. Sort of checks all the boxes of the quarterbacks you're looking for. But the reality is this: if these quarterbacks were in last year's class, I've been saying this for weeks, maybe months, they're probably no better than Q5 or 6. And I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. both of these picks right now, and I'm probably leaning these guys over J.J. McCarthy.
And Tom, that's concerning. When you look at them, and this is a quarterback class that's not great. Last year's obviously significantly better. How do you justify taking a quarterback 2 overall at that point?
All it takes is one team, and you got to fall in love with a guy, right? And as he mentioned on there, we are going to nitpick and dissect and analyze and overanalyze all of these quarterbacks over the next few months. And obviously, everybody has an opinion about guys now that'll probably change once we see them or don't see them in the combine, once we see them or don't see them in the Senior Bowl. And you know, there's going to be, like I said before, there's going to be quarterbacks that emerge that we're not even really talking about right now. But when you're talking about the top 2 guys, we've been talking about Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward all year. Sanders is a guy who really intrigues me. I think he's got all of the physical attributes that you would want in a quarterback. He's got the big arm. He's got the mobility. I could see him fitting in very nicely into a Kevin Stefanski / Tommy Rees offense. I feel the same way about Cam Ward. You know, I watched probably 4 or 5 of Miami's games this year, and obviously he's kind of one of those guys that has almost that it factor when you take into account the comebacks that he was able to orchestrate at Miami. So, you know, there's something intriguing about him as well. Again, another, you know, much like Shedeur Sanders, dual option, you know, RPOs, all those kinds of things. He's got all of those. He's got all that skill set. A good friend of mine who is the AP writer down in Miami, Tim Reynolds, you know, at the beginning of the year, he wasn't nearly as high on Cam Ward as people outside Miami were. He thought, yeah, you know, he might be 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick. We'll see how he does this year. And talking to Tim recently, you know, they've seen a maturity on and off the field out of Cam Ward over this past year. And you know, he's talked about him now as being a guy that legitimately belongs in that top 15 pick. So again, it's going to be up to the Browns on what they want to do at number 2. Will they find, is the better move then to trade that pick and, you know, try to find a bridge quarterback or a couple of free agents or take a quarterback deeper? That's all on Andrew Berry and what the front office wants to do. But 2 guys, I think that, you know, if you needed a quarterback, I think you couldn't go wrong in my mind with either one of those 2 guys, whether it's picking him at number 2 or taking him at number 6.